think it's been like a while since we've prepared for this day of recording like this episode, and it's the first guest episode that I'm recording. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, and I didn't want anyone else besides you. So like, and I think you've been waiting for this day to happen actually. So
this is a really big milestone moment for you. I know how much work you have, not even just setting up the studio, but like how many mental obstacles you have gone through to get to this stage. And I don't think people speak about that enough.
Aww.
So this is truly such a big moment for you, and I'm so proud of you.
You're gonna make me cry.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna tear up.
Oh, that means so much. And like, honestly, I couldn't have done it without your support. And for those listeners who are listening today,
why are we tearing up?
I know. You know, it's like how like
the pregnancy hormones.
Yours pregnancy hormones. I don't know what hormones I'm on. But no, it's been, I feel like it's that moment where the parent's really proud of their child.
Yeah, like, fly.
But for those listeners listening, Steph is my coach, and we met each other around 2 years ago. And I really believe it was one of those moments where I think it was meant to be, because I feel like I was in that stage of like ready to try something new and something different. Steph was that role model for me that allowed me in that there are opportunities that I can do all these things. So can't wait for you guys to get to know this powerhouse. But before we dive in, who's Steph? Tell me, like, for those listening, how would you describe yourself?
I activate people. It's something that has taken me a long time to embody, because there was so many layers that I also had to shed as well. But I activate people to help them see past their current limits. And I love it. Like if you're in my circle, if you're in my orbit, I am going to challenge what you think you know about yourself and allow you to meet this higher version of yourself that you didn't even think you could meet. That's who I am.
I know, and I've certainly experienced that. To be honest, I think it's so important to have people in your life that challenge you constantly every day, because it allows you to think about different perspectives, and you know, maybe you might learn something about yourself like along the way that you didn't know that. So
and even further than challenging, it's seeing how much potential that you have and taking you there. So, and we do that through challenging, but having someone who sees this higher version of yourself that you cannot see at the moment because of your own limitations, because of the limitations that the current people around you are placing on you, is so crucial. Because as much as I am that to my clients and to my community, I also have those people in my corner as well, because there's so many levels. There's so many levels to this.
Yeah. And I feel as you're going through entrepreneurship, even not labeling it entrepreneurship, like you discover so many new things that you didn't know, and it's taking you to that step. And everything that you're experiencing, the highs and lows, it's meant to get you to where you are, and you need to experience that in order to level up, I guess.
100%.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I know that you've been busy working on threefold strategy and master of achievements. How's that been? And tell me a little bit about your journey and why you've started this.
So Master of Achievement was my coaching business that I founded last year, and I was doing that throughout the year whilst I was working full-time in construction. But I always knew that ultimately I really wanted to use the innovation, the creativity, the strategy piece that I love, just coming into businesses, to brands and activating them. And so this year I took that leap. I quit my full-time job, and unfortunately I'm just not one of those people who can drop down to part-time and work on my full-time, work on my side business. And I even think that was a huge change for me, because when you are working full-time, but then you're saying that this is a side business, for me anyway, energetically, I wasn't giving my side business 100% because I kept seeing it as a side business. And I couldn't even take the risks or be fully committed to it because I knew there was something to fall back on. There was a very secure corporate identity that Steph had been leaning on for so many years. And so how could she then shed that and become the founder, the business strategy consultant and advisor and coach that she wanted to be, if there's still remnants of this corporate Steph playing out for 40, 50 hours a week, right? So the journey of me actually quitting my full-time job and going all in on my business was scary. It was very scary. I was really burnt out, I would say. Like, I wasn't burnt out in the sense like I was in bed and I couldn't do anything, but I just didn't feel emotionally connected to what I was doing anymore. And every day I would wake up feeling this guilt of, oh man, like there's so many people who would be dying to have my salary, have the experiences, have this incredible project manager to work with, this team, these people. And I keep waking up every day going, there's something else I could be doing with my time. And I think that was really hard for me. And then going full in on it and even having to shed like corporate mindsets, such as, I remember the first week when I had quit, I was like, okay, what do I do now from 8 till 4? And I remember thinking to myself, like, I used to finish at 5 and now I'm going to finish at 4. I've given myself back an hour. Like, how incredible is this? And I just would sit there at the computer coming up with tasks to do, because that was my way of feeling valuable, but I wasn't really creating anything. And so there was a lot of that shedding of this existing mindset, these things that I tied my value to, these ways of trying to be productive, being on all the time, that I really had to shed in order for me to step into becoming who I am today.
Yeah.
And like, it didn't happen. I know when people hear these stories and stuff, they think, oh, well, that must have taken you years. No, this literally took me a few months. And that's because of all the work that I had done previously. But there's always, like sometimes when you're working on a puzzle and you've put 99% of the pieces together, but there's that one piece that's just missing and you're like, this is what's going to, complete the picture. But where is this piece? So for the longest time, it was like 99% of, I wouldn't even say 90, I would say maybe like 80% of the pieces were in place. But over the last 4 months is when that final crucial piece really came in and unlocked this whole new mindset of Steph, like this Steph 2.0, which I had been trying to align with and connect with for the longest time.
Yeah. And it's such a powerful moment when you actually connect with that higher version of yourself, because you're operating at that energy level.
Yes.
And not saying that there's always going to be good days when you do operate at that, but you feel so authentic to you, and you have this radiating energy as well. And knowing you like last year versus this year, I could totally like see that. And
Yeah.
I love this new energy, this new version of stuff. But going back to, you know, fully quitting your job and letting go of that corporate world and starting your business, I'm going to ask from a listener's point of view, if someone is thinking of doing that, what would you recommend to them? Do you think, like, you know, just because they're thinking of that, they should quit their job right now and just do something because they're not happy, they're not finding it a fulfillment? What's the best way to go about it?
There's definitely no cookie cutter way to go about it. And if anyone is trying to sell you that, that's a scam, I feel. Because everybody is so different. I will say though, if you ever had an inkling, an idea of something more, of just being in the job that you're at, and even though everything seems perfect, but there's just something inside of you that feels empty and like there's something more, I wouldn't ignore that voice. So many people do that. So many people go, no, this is so far-fetched. How can I do this? Or I'm getting paid a really good job now, but I have to buy the house, or I have to get this car, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do this. And then that thought, that voice, that idea, that download keeps getting pushed back and back and back. So my first thing would be, if you have that download, you've got it for a reason. Give yourself firstly the permission to explore that. Right? You don't have to quit your job. We're just exploring. You don't have to do anything drastic. Allowing yourself the permission to even think that big is always the first step. Then I would say, understand what kind of person you are. Are you an extremist where it's like you're either 0 or 100% like I am?
Yeah.
Right? Or are you someone who like you're really good at compartmentalizing, and work is work, your business is your business, right? So understanding how it is that you work and using that to your advantage. So if you are someone who can compartmentalize, like, then maybe dropping down to part-time or sucking it up for the first few years and just doing both at the same time is the way to go. But if you're someone like me, someone like you who's 0 to 100, then for me, I just knew I could not be the person who would work part-time and work on my business, even though financially it made sense, especially with the baby on the way. I was like, oh my God, I don't know how this is going to work. Like, maybe I work part-time. I do remember my husband even suggesting that. But then because I knew the kind of person that I was, where it was like, nah, either I go all in or nothing at all, that's what worked best for me. And that's what really allowed me to have the conviction in my business to go out and speak to potential clients or current clients, or even just showing up online with this, like, man, this is a life that I'm living now, and fully embodying it, not trying to fake it till you make it, but truly embodying that, because you have no other choice but to embody that. Exactly. Right? Like, then that would be the way to go in terms of what you would do if you were trying to start out. And the thing also, when you are doing this, right, the first step is never the step that's concrete. You might drop down to part-time, be like, actually, no, I want to go full-time into my business and not work at all, right? The doors are never closed, and there's always opportunities to shift and change the plan. But some people are so set on following the plan, especially if they've shared the idea with people. They're like, yeah, I'm going to quit, drop down to part-time, and I'm working on my business. And then the next week they're, oh no, I actually am quitting fully and going fully into my business. They are scared of that change because of what other people are going to think. Or they're scared that, well, I've already said this. Does this make me a liar because I've said this and now I'm changing again? No, you've got to do whatever works for you. And at any point, right, as you just keep accumulating experience and knowledge, in how you work as a person, in your business, how things are working, you use that information to shift your plan. So don't be afraid of also changing the plan as well. You might even go, I wanted to work my business, but I'm actually not thinking this is for me anymore and I want to go back to full time. That's okay as well.
And do you think a lot of people nowadays, or in general, they don't do the things they want because they're scared of other people's judgment and opinions, or like
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I feel like sometimes personally it's, oh my God, my friend group, my colleagues, all these people.
My parents,
they have this certain expectation of you. Because at the end of the day, us humans, we all want that sense of belonging, that sense of community.
Yes.
We want to be loved, heard, seen, supported, all of that, because that's what humans do, right? But people are afraid of rocking the boat a little bit sometimes. But I guess how you stay true to yourself and authentic, I guess.
Yeah. And I know there's so many quotes out there and so many people have said this. It's like, are you really going to let one person's perception or expectation of you be the reason that you don't do what you want to do? Like, are you going to be 80 and look back and go, oh, I didn't do this because someone, my environment had this expectation of me? I know there's a lot of that, right? And also another thing that I see a lot of people talk about is like this expectation that people have placed on you. Like, you can't just allow that one person's, like, people don't remember what you do anyway. People are not taking note of what you're doing. But even though you read that content and you absorb that, it still doesn't change the fact that it's scary and that it still does feel like everybody's watching you. And sometimes when you go and have conversations with people, they make comments that make you feel like, oh, is this the right path for me? But I think that's also part of the process. If you don't go through those situations where people are questioning you and environments are questioning whether this is right for you, and you go through that and you still have this fire burning in you or this inner belief that, nah, this is what I want to do, then how will you know that it's actually what you want to do?
Yeah.
So although we want to have a perfect environment where everyone's so supportive of your dreams and your goals and people believe in it, what kind of story is that? Or what kind of resilience and mindset and tenacity and conviction are you building within yourself if there weren't doubters and there weren't people who were fearful and projecting their limitations on you?
Yeah, that is so true. Now, have you always been on this path? Like, if I go back to Steph, 9-year-old Steph, was that like a path that you've always wanted to go? Did you know that you always wanted to be in this entrepreneurial space, or is it something that you unlocked later on? And was there a certain experience that made you want to do what you're doing now?
I think that I was curious as to what it was, but I didn't think that it was possible for me. Like, my family came here as immigrants and they built businesses because that's what they needed to do to survive. They didn't have an education. They couldn't apply for a KPMG or work at a bank. Like, my mum and my dad have never seen a corporate office environment in their life. Like, when, they don't even realize that there's corporate offices where you have a coffee machine, you get meals, and Fridays you have Friday drinks. Like, they've never experienced that in their life. And so business was always a form of like truly hustling to survive and give us an education. So our whole lives growing up, mom and dad were always like, you need to study, you need to do really well, you need to go to uni, get a degree, get a really stable job. But I think as I went through high school and uni, I always questioned, what is the right path for me? I always felt like a maverick in the sense that every time I went to do something, I'm always questioning, like, what is a better way of doing this, or how can I do this? And I always felt like this one thing that I did that really bothered me, but now I understand why I used to do that. Every time someone would hand me a document of their work, I could not use that as a template or a basis to do my own thing. I always had to recreate it. And I hated that. I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just take this template and, you know, just
go with
use
it.
it. Just go with it. No, I had to pull it apart and go, no, I'm going to create something myself and start from the start and put my own spin on it. And so there's always moments like that where you feel like, why am I always doing this? And you kind of hate yourself for it. But then as you get older and you continue to be curious and put yourself in different environments, you realize it's all happening for a reason. You can only obviously understand that in hindsight, right? But I also just remember like being in corporate environments and just going like, I get along with everyone here and I've made really great friends, but I don't truly feel like this is where I belong. Like there is something more that I'm supposed to do, but I just didn't understand what that more was. So then the first time that I started breaking out of the mold of what my parents expected of me, what I thought I should be doing, what success looked like, was when I landed my job at KPMG and then I quit after a month because I wanted to get into construction. And construction at the time was just so like, what the F said? Like, what are you going to do in construction?
Yeah.
Like, be a bricklayer? I remember my mom saying that. I was like, what are you going to do? And I was just so fascinated by this world of like, how do buildings even come up? How does concrete work? How does this glass get put onto you? I just remember having all these questions and just wanting to follow that curiosity and explore deeper. And because I really wanted to do that, I was in my mid-20s, I felt like I was behind the ball. And so I put this pressure on myself to then be like, I want to be the fucking best. I'm going to make the most out of this experience, because I tried doing it myself, working for small construction businesses and all that. And there was this one company that I worked for. It was a fit out company. And I just had like, it was 8 months and I learned so much about myself, but it was the worst 8 months of my life.
Wow.
The managers, there was a couple, they had issues.
Oh no.
Right. And just like management wise, I just felt like I was running around in circles. No one was teaching me correctly. They made me do really dodgy things, which went against my values and my morals. I was lenient on my values and my morals because I felt like I had no other choice. Like I felt like, well, I should be grateful for this opportunity. I don't have a degree in construction. I need to gain this experience. They're really connected to people in the industry. My career is in their hands. And I need to just shut up, do as they say, regardless of whether what they're telling me to do goes against my values and my morals, regardless of whether they're telling me to lie to subcontractors that they've been paid when they haven't. And I just have to do this to get ahead in my career. And I remember when I finally decided to quit, because that day the husband came in and he was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he was just berating me. And I just said, I worked up the courage and I said, you know what? I didn't come to work to be talked to like that. And I fucking quit. And that was the moment I promised to myself that I would never, ever let my career be in control of the hands of anyone. And I also did that. It was kind of like, now looking back, I think that I really wanted to be successful, to almost say sorry and repay for all those really bad things that they made me do, right? Like, there was one situation I remember, a cleaner, which she got to clean the office every week. She hadn't paid for 3 or 4 months. And when he came in to ask for money, she hid under her desk and made me lie to him that she wasn't there when he clearly saw her. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this is horrible, because my parents are business owners as well. And I know how it feels when people don't pay up. But I have to stand here, choose between my career, my values, my morals. Like, you know, I just felt really selfish. And so, yeah, there was like so many other circumstances. And that's why when I then decided to go back to uni, do construction properly, I just had this drive to be like, I'm going to learn everything that I possibly can, build my leadership skills, build my mindset so that I never have to be in that position again where someone is in control of my career and the trajectory of my success, and run at a gazillion miles an hour. And so I think people who were surrounding me at the time, they just didn't understand why I was working at the pace that I was working at.
Yeah.
Like it felt like I was on a mission and they couldn't put their hands on it. And I wasn't sitting around, having a sook fest going, oh, this is what happened to me. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. I'm going with it. And I just had this mission, and no one fully understood why, but they could feel, they're like, fuck, Steph's like, man, she's, there's something about this girl, and that is actually where I invested in my first mentor. And because I just knew, I was like, the situations that I keep getting myself into, the patterns that keep playing out of me being in an environment where I can't speak confidently about how I feel. My voice is just not heard. People walking all over me, and me allowing my values and my morals to just bend a little bit because I want to please people. Me not being in control of situations. Not because I have to be in control of every situation, but me feeling someone else is in charge of what I need to do. All these things have nothing to do with my skills and how good I am, because regardless of how many programs I went to, how many courses, how many, anything that I invested in, these patterns kept playing out. And so I said, something's got to change. I invested in my first mentor, and it changed my life, because we weren't sitting there talking about the past. Oh, this happened. Oh, why do we think this happened? This relates to my childhood, blah, blah, which is important. But I was like, I'm a very action orientated person. What are my actions? What am I actually doing? Yeah. Right. And so the mentor that I invested in, Eleanor, she just opened this whole world of like, everything is based on your mindset, and showing me, I think the biggest thing for me was showing how every action, every outcome that's playing out in my life is on me. And the control is actually within me. But I'm allowing other people to control me. I'm giving that power away to other people. And so that realization was the biggest switch for me. And that's when I really fully started investing in, like, this is when I got into the world of self-development, started getting into Jay Shetty, but then I evolved from Jay Shetty, I'm like Stephen Bartlett, then I've evolved from Stephen Bartlett, and I've just constantly invested in mentors, in coaches to shift my mindset and plant seeds of possibilities that I would never even know I could be capable of or exist because of natural limitations in my world.
Do you think mindset is everything?
100%. It is. I can't even explain it because it sounds really woo-woo. Like when I tell people what I do, they're like, "Oh, so people just pay you to unblock their fears?" You know what I mean? I'm like, well, that fear is exactly the reason why you're still where you are. Yeah, people pay me to unblock their fears, but that fear helps them move to where they actually want to go. And is that not the most valuable thing, or them staying where they are and constantly thinking about, oh, I should have done this or I could have done that, right? Like if it was easy, why haven't you done it yet? Mindset is everything.
Yeah, I think this other thing as well around mindset and to where you're going is that a lot of people see the end result of what someone's achieved and the outcome, and just going back and saying, like, oh, this happened so easily to that person. This happened overnight. And I personally believe there's no such thing as overnight success. It's that mindset, that courage those fears that you've overcome and having the right network around you. And during this time that you've evolved, how has your environment been? Like, have you always had the same people supporting you, or have you had to let go of certain things in your life in order to reach where you are today and be the authentic version of yourself? What has it been like?
I think as you evolve, and I believe as you evolve, naturally the environment around you is going to evolve. It has to evolve. It has to evolve, because if the old version of you accepted this environment, right? Understanding also that this environment is only going to take you here. For you to want to be at this level, the environment's got to change again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say though that it's like you start dishing all your friends and like, all of that starts changing, but how the expectations that you place on the people around you change. So when I was in uni, as an example, I would think like, oh my God, my friends have to be everything to me. They've got to be inspirational, enthusiastic. Also, maybe hopefully they're like entrepreneurs and thinking outside the box and all that, because I always felt like sometimes I was always the one going, hey guys, like this, I saw this thing and this is really cool. And especially when I started investing in my self-development, right? I'm like, guys, you got to invest in a mentor and you have to listen to this podcast. And I was just like bombarding people because out of love, right? I'm like, man, I've had these huge transformations. I want you to have the same transformation as well. And I'm bombarding everyone around me with like all these things that I'm learning. And then I would get really disappointed when they would reject. They would be like, oh yeah, cool. But like, not really.
Yeah, not show the same hype.
Even the same thing as my husband now, right? Like my husband is not into he's into self-development, but not the same as me. I tell him this all the time. I'm like, babe, I would love to just sit down and, like you and I have listened to a podcast and I'm asking you questions, you're analyzing, you're asking me what I think, like all of these things. But he's just not that kind of person. And that's okay, right? People don't have to be everything to you, but I think how you want to show up in the environment is really important. And that's what's going to take you to the next level. Of course, it's always great to be in an environment where people get it. And when you do find those people, it's fucking amazing, right? Like you're just like, oh my gosh. So yes, it is important. And when you are in the right rooms, like I remember going to a dinner a few months ago, just talking to everyone, and they were all at the stage of building stuff, or they're a few years in, or many, many years in, and sharing with them what I was doing. And they were like, that's fucking awesome. Right. But I remember sharing what I was doing to people who didn't understand, and they were like, that sounds really cool. So like, what is that? So you're a business strategist? Like, what does that involve? And it's not because they're trying to doubt me, but when you're in environments that get it, you don't have to explain anything. They just get it, And so I think it's healthy to have both, but also understand that really it starts from within. You are not doing things, or you're not hanging out with certain people, or you're not trying to build relationships to prove anything to anyone else. You have to have that conviction first in yourself.
That's very true. Because I feel sometimes like you see this a lot online where like, people are like, no, you've got to leave this. And sometimes I feel like messaging is just to isolate yourself and not giving people chances either. But I think in this case, it's really important to know how to draw boundaries and make sure that you're protecting yourself and your energy. Because I feel like when you talk to some people, you're like, question is like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? But so I think it's that.
I'll give you a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easy to go, let me just surround myself with other people who are building and entrepreneurs and people who are expansive and all that sort of stuff. But if your purpose, if anything, right, if there is a majority of people who won't take action before they see someone being successful or it working for someone else. Because that's what a lot of people do. They wait until they say, oh, wow, okay, this person's actually made it. Maybe I'll start now. Instead of going like, I don't know if it's going to work right now. I don't know how I see this for myself, but let's just do it, right? If there are so many people out there who are just waiting to see the result from someone else before they take action, would you not be doing a disservice by cutting them off and not being that beacon of example for them? You know, so, and that's something that I've really come to accept as well, right? If there's one thing that I can impart, whether that be a glimmer of hope or a glimmer of challenge to how people are currently living, and helping them see that the limitations or the cage is what they've actually created for themselves. And yes, it's draining because they're going to project their own limitations on you and all that sort of stuff, right? But if I'm just so confident and convicted in my vision and I keep building, and I'll catch up with them here and there and I'll talk about what I'm doing, and allowing them to see that this is the proof and feeling that this is the proof. And then one day that's me planting the seed, but one day that might be the seed that then starts to sprout. Is that not such an incredible way to give back to the world? So it's not about having to get someone to take that action or understand right now, but this is what my coach really imparted on me. We're all here to plant seeds. It's not our responsibility to control whether that seed blooms or doesn't bloom, but isn't planting the seed giving this garden a better chance of blooming than us keeping the seeds to ourselves?
And I feel like especially moments like this, like the world really needs all this people that are sending out the right message, planting seeds. That helps to create, as cliche as it sounds, a better world.
It's easy to cut everyone off.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's such a huge disservice that we do to the people who take a bit longer to be activated or take a bit longer to take that leap.
No, that's so true. And one thing I'm really curious about, I feel one thing I struggle with sometimes is unlearning habits and things I do sometimes. What's the biggest thing that you've had to unlearn and it's been the most challenging, and how have you overcome that?
The pressure of achievement. And it's actually ironic because my coaching business is called Master of Achievement, right? But I love that because it's like, one, it started with what does achievement mean to you? And I really understood that, but now it's just evolved into, yeah, you want to achieve, but does that achievement actually emotionally fulfill you? There's so many people, like so many high achievers out there, right? We just constantly feel like we need to do so much to justify how valuable we are. And that definitely started when I entered construction because of that mission, that me wanting to learn everything and change the industry because of what I had to go through. That was like a very, very, very strong mission for me. But then as I started to learn more about myself and pivoting, right? And also working on myself and getting myself out of environments where I wasn't working from a place of pain and fear and doubt anymore, because that's what I was working from, right? I was working from this revenge of like, man, when this couple sees me on LinkedIn, like I'm going to show, like, you know, they're going to see how successful I am, or the big projects I'm working on, like a big fuck you guys for how you treated me. And like, that's to a very strong degree why I worked so hard. But then also as I started to learn more and going, oh, okay, like, is this environment actually where I see myself in 20 years? No, I don't really see myself working for somebody else or in companies. I want to build my own thing. And then it was, okay, let me learn everything so I can get myself away from this environment. So it was constantly from this scarcity, this pressure of there's never enough time. You only have a limited amount of time. And then when I got married, the reality of it sinking in, like, okay, Steph, you've only got a few years till you can get pregnant. And have you achieved everything in your career yet? Have you built this business? And again, like rushing to hit that and moving away from that, you know, moving from a place of fear and scarcity. It just constantly wired me to want to do everything, but it was because I was almost like ticking. I'm like, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. But I wasn't really present in what I was doing. And that also got reinforced by the construction environment, which is very, very dynamic. And I love that, right? Like, I love the fact that everything was so fast paced, so dynamic. Like, let's just get shit done. You know, there is no time for someone to be sitting there doing nothing. And I loved that. But then I also think that trained me to constantly be on all the time. And so then when things started to, I wouldn't say slow down, but maybe the environment was a little slower because I changed companies and I just wanted things to be slower for myself so that I could work more on Master of Achievement. The pivotal moment for me was at one point earlier this year, I did the live podcast event. I had 13 clients last year. I launched the community. I was recording every fortnight. I was posting 2 times a day, 7 days a week for 6 months last year, right? Doing all of these things and being so busy, but then still feeling like disconnected to what I was doing. And I was like, why am I doing all of this?
Yeah.
I've got the good paying job in a loving relationship. I'm married. Like, how many people dying to be married to someone who loves and accepts them for all of who they are? I drive a beautiful car, which I've been dying to have for the longest time. I have an amazing family. Like, I have all of these great things. I've got clients who want to work with me. I have this incredible podcast, but why am I still feeling empty? And that's when I knew I had to change, because the source of running away from something will only take you so far. But once you achieve all of these things, what is the energy source that you're operating from? So that has been the biggest shift for me, working on realigning energetically and emotionally, how that balance of like the positive pressure of wanting to do what you're doing, but not doing it because you're scared or you hate where you are, or there's a timeline that you're working towards and time's running out and all of that sort of stuff. I've really rewired and worked really, really hard over the last 3 months. And it shows in everything that I do. It shows in the content, how I speak, how I coach with my clients. Instead of projecting my fears and my limitations and my pressures on them, I'm like seeing so much endless opportunities and abundance for them. And that's allowed me to then be able to operate still from a sense of achievement, but the energy source is abundance and love, and not scarcity, fear, limitations, pressure.
Yeah, I really love when you said that, like, what is it, that energy that you're operating from? Because a lot of the times I feel like you see people like achieve these amazing things, but then you feel that emptiness. It doesn't make sense to you. It's not me. Like,
You're trying to force.
exactly.
You're trying to force gratitude as well. It wasn't like I was trying to not to be grateful. Every day I was like, yep, we'll write in the diary 3 things that we're grateful for. What's the intention for today? Let's journal. Let's really emotionally connect with myself and allow myself to be present. But I was trying to force that.
Forcing an outcome.
I was like, I get to do this. I should be grateful. I am grateful. But I never felt that. I never ever felt that. Because again, the energy source was like, yeah, you're grateful, but here's all the things you haven't done. So what are you doing, Steph?
Oh, yeah. That is so true. Like, very, very true. I feel like, I feel it at times, and there's so many things that, like, someone looks from an outside perspective, they look at you and they're like, oh, this person has everything figured out. But then deep down you have this sense of emptiness, but it's also allowing yourself to explore, be in those emotions sometimes. Everything's so go, go, go that you're so used to that and you need to bounce back up quickly. But just allowing yourself to feel those emotions, I think that's really, really important, and not forcing things.
I actually got into the stage where I think it's because I'm so aware of it in myself. I can actually go onto Instagram or LinkedIn, and just from the way someone's posting, even though they're showing up, they've got a smile, they're saying all the right things, I can tell that they're not there. But that's only because I've been there and I can see it. But to someone who may not have experience yet, it's hard for them to see, but I can literally see like people who have thousands and thousands and thousands, like 10, 20, 30K followers, showing up online, you know, it's talking about whatever it is, but not fully there and connected. I can actually tell. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I see all the signs because I was that person.
And I feel like when you even go back and look at your content that you created, you can like tell, ooh, that was like me. I do that sometimes. I'm like, I look at my content and I'm like, yeah, no.
But that was you.
But that was me in that moment.
That was you.
That was me. But then it's coming from, I feel like it's forcing myself. I'm not saying like, sit back and just whenever the right moment comes, like do whatever it is you're doing. When you're present and you are going through the process, I think it'll flow naturally, and like, you know, you do things based on a schedule or a time frame that you set for yourself. Operating energy is different.
Yes.
But like, you can tell when you weren't operating at that energy, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and that's when like, when I look back at my content, I'm like, yeah, my energy that I'm operating now is so different to 6 months ago, a year ago.
Yes.
And you can tell that like it's forced a little bit, but then yes, I'm challenging myself to do things, but it's from that different.
That's also why I hate when people go, fake it till you make it. I hate that saying. What are you faking? If you're going to fake it, of course you're not being. If you're just being all of who you are in this moment, of course we tweak, we revise, we try and work on certain things to get better, but we're not faking it.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just be all of who you are.
Yeah.
You know, I hate that saying.
Yeah.
I hate when people say that.
I agree. Because like, if you're not, I'm not going to get into it. I could talk on about that for hours.
Yeah.
But no, what's your next step? Where do you see yourself? What do you think there'll come a day that you'll be like, I've done everything and I'm just going to sit back?
I don't think so. I get bored very easily.
Yeah.
But right now I'm exactly where I need to be. I just love how I'm coaching with my clients. I love the breakthroughs that they're having. Not that I wasn't loving it last year, but because I wasn't emotionally connected to it, I was trying to be emotionally connected to it. Like the wins that they were having were incredible, but I never fully absorbed it. But this year I'm like, man, like I actually remember getting off a call with you and I was like, I messaged my friend and my best friend and I was like, I can't believe I get to do this. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But just like, I'm like, I can't believe I get to do this for my clients. Oh my God, I'm getting...
No.
It's because I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. You know, like
it's magic that you do though.
It genuinely is. I just like, I'm just like, whoa. I am so grateful that I get to experience being able to see this higher version in my clients.
Oh my God, we're both like,
why am I crying? Stop it. Oh my God, we need tissues.
We need tissues.
And because I pour all that love into my clients, that gets poured back into me. And I love that. And it's the same with when I'm working with businesses and business founders. You know, like every single person that comes into my orbit has such a big purpose and they're so passionate about what they do. And that's what I love about it. I just love working with people who are so passionate about what they do, but there's just certain blockages and fears and things that they can't see. And for me to be able to see this higher possibility for them and help them fully believe in that, and then the results that flow on from that, and not even just the results, but like them experiencing that. Not just going like, oh yeah, I just like 30K this month. Like, man, it's not even about the money. Like, you did that. You challenged yourself to get there. And being able to work with brands and businesses that like, they just want to create fucking magic. Like, I am just I just feel like, wow, I never thought that I would get to this stage where every day I am living out my life. Like, of course, it's not the dream life, right? But for me to be so emotionally connected to what I'm doing and light magic in other people. Oh man, like my cup is so full. My cup is so full.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You need tissues.
Tissues, let me. Do you want to?
No.
Yeah. It's and one other thing as well, people need to know this, that like, everyone is so unique that like, everyone, even if another person has the exact same business idea as someone else, like, they will view it in a different lens, in a different perspective, and they will gravitate their audience towards that. So yes, it's good to have competition, but ultimately people connect with you for a reason, and you want people that are right people to connect with you, and you can spark magic in each other. And it's an amazing thing that you get to do every day, and and I love that you're feeling this way, and I guess feeling my cup too, hearing about it.
It's just coming from that place of true abundance, like genuine abundance, where when you are you're just being who you are. You get to be who you are every single day, and there's no limitations. Of course there's limitations, but like they're just limits that you've created on yourself. No one else is putting you in that limit. And just knowing, as you're saying, right, like, man, how many coaches are out there? How many business strategy consultants, advisors are out there? But they don't do it like I do, right? They don't have the perspective, the lens, the exact, I know everyone talks about it, right? Your personal brand, it's like personal because it's a unique blend of blah, 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 blah. But not just saying that in words, but actually fully embodying that is so, so powerful. And when you see it in that way, that like, even though there's so many other people doing the same thing as you, there's so many other podcasts out there, right? But it's not Maddie. And when you see it in that light, you realize how many opportunities are out there. They haven't experienced Maddie. This is the Maddie podcast, right? Like, there is someone who can try to be Maddie, but they'll never be Maddie because they're just not her. Same with me. There are people out there who can try to be me, but they'll never get to be me because I get to be me. I am me.
Yeah. And
just like fully embodying that, you realize like, fuck man, the world is incredible.
Yeah, the world is incredible and full of magic.
Full of magic.
Yeah, how you want to view it. So, yeah. And I want to finish off on this. Yeah. If there's just one thing that someone needs to hear, just one thing, and that's the thing that they need to know for the rest of their life, what is it?
Every experience you go through, every single experience, every thought, fear, hard moment, great moments, everything is your experience that you bring into the next experience. And when you let that sink in, it's fucking powerful because it means that everything is happening to you, and just let yourself be in it. Because one day you're going to cross paths with someone, or there's going to be a situation where that experience makes sense. Right. And I remember what you said before. Sometimes I look back on the content and I feel cringe. That experience was meant to be the experience for this current experience. You could not be here today if you didn't go through that.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
And very true. Oh, thank you so much for being on
so
the
much fun.
podcast today, Steph. Oh my God. I feel so grateful. It was the best conversation I could have ever imagined for the first podcast. So I'm so extremely grateful.
Did not expect to cry.
I know. I did not expect this.
You bring people.
But I'll definitely leave your Instagram and your contact details for people to follow. And you need to follow this wonderful human. I'm telling you. And there's so many things that I constantly learn from you every single day. And I'm so grateful to have crossed paths in this life with you. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. And I want to extend that back to you, right? Because as I always say, like, you're not where you are without the openness and the willingness to challenge yourself. And I know how much inner work, how many doubters and haters and negative talks and spiraling moments you've had to go through for us to even be sitting here. as much as it's incredible for me to be here, like I am just so proud of you and this podcast and what you're about to, what you are doing, and this is just the beginning, and I'm proud of you.
Oh, I need to give you a hug. Thanks, everyone.